The My Little Pony Ride, Part 3. Behind me I could still hear the music, the chaos of thousands of people going from ride to ride, but it all sounded so far away, as if the Magic Kingdom had suddenly been moved a few miles. The continuous scraping of my shoes against the concrete as I walked onward was the only sound I made. I have to admit, the My Little Pony Ride looked impressive, as I could feel the little girl inside me giggle at it in awe. The outside was made to look like a giant tree, with an opening at its base for guests to enter. From its many branches I could see colorful figures of ponies watching, now slightly faded from the years of neglect, staring at me through the leaves or playing around the trunk of the tree near the opening. I have to admit, I felt a little creeped out. Their stares too intense, their smiles too wide. I worked my way through some old rusted barriers that form lines for the guests who will never see it. In the silence I could hear the hum of engines running in the distance. Was the ride left on? Flickering lights made to look like candles illuminated the inside as I approached it. Closing my eyes, I could hear the whispers of many voices waiting eagerly in line for their chance to ride. The laughter of children seeming to drift from every dark corner that was beyond my vision. Taking deep breaths as I felt myself growing more and more anxious as I got closer. The little girl from earlier. Her smile stuck in my head made me more afraid than I want to admit as I stepped in. The room was circular and made out of plastic, constructed to look like wood, as if I was in the inside of a giant tree. Rows upon rows of dusty books were glued onto the old shelves, rotting away and covered in cobwebs. In the center was a large puddle of green water, probably algae. Rainwater must have leaked in from the hole in the roof to form the puddle in the middle of the room. Seeming to have the smell of a forgotten basement, I have to say it reminded me more of the Haunted Mansion ride than a cheerful cartoon of singing ponies. On one side, a screen was built into the wall, warped and scratched with a thin film of grime from the look of it. What was it going to play? I couldn't tell you, as the thing looked pretty damaged. And still, I could hear the voices of thousands of people patiently waiting in line along with their children, seeming to follow me as I made my way through the room and to the other side, which led me down a corridor made of the same plastic wood illuminated by the same plastic lights masquerading as candles. Occasionally I would pass empty monitors attached to the ceiling. A couple had fallen off their posts to shatter on the ground, but most were still secured. I passed another room easily, stepping around the tarnished and stained brass rails separating lines of people that would never use it. And still the sensation of being surrounded seemed to follow me as I walked into the third and final room. The room was bigger than the other two as it divided people into yet more lines. Beyond it was a mural of a forest overlooking a clear blue sky with a silhouette of a castle in the background. In the center was a metal track, painted black with a gold chariot sitting there humming quietly from unseen motors running below the rails, patiently waiting for me to get on. Each seat had a harness that rose above it. A symbol of the sun was painted on the front of the chariot. On the side was the numbers 101010. For 2 years it sat here neglected, yet the chariot seemed brand new and the seat comfortable. I didn't want to get on it, but there was no going back. I knew I had to see this to its end. I continued to feel unseen eyes watching me, knowing I was going to do it regardless, as I stepped downward into the chariot and made my way towards the middle. Once I made myself comfortable, the harness came down over me, securing me in with a loud click as the ride began to move and a hidden door in front of me opened. Here in Equestria, our magic can be unpredictable to creatures such as you, said the voice, overheard as the chariot rolled onwards. So please, keep your hands, feet, and head inside the chariot at all times, and please, no flash photography during your trip. It can scare all those cute, cuddly animals of the forest, and we wouldn't want that, now would we? Said another voice, before the chariot began to accelerate. I was surprised at the condition of the ride. Despite having a couple of years of neglect, it still ran pretty smooth. Some of the animatronics didn't work properly, and a few of the screens were damaged. One was completely shattered, with shards of glass laying all over the ground. A few of the props had fallen over, and everything was caked in a layer of dirt and filth. But the ride ran pretty smooth as the chariot zipped along the rails, following the purple unicorn named Twilight Sparkle, who continued to take me all over Equestria, showing off all her friends and all that live in Ponyville. It was about the middle of the ride, I guess, as Twilight along with her friends, that everything took a very dark turn. Clouds began to fill the screen above me as it got noticeably darker. Lightning began to flash all around me as an ominous laughter was heard growing louder and louder. "Oh no," yelled Twilight Sparkle. "Nightmare Moon is back." A silhouette of something dark drifted behind the cartoon clouds. Something that I was sure didn't belong on the ride. A something that was very much aware of me. My nervousness began to creep back into me as the feeling that something went wrong. My hand gripped the harness and pulled to see if I could lift it up, but it was locked into place. Panic began to overtake me as I began to fight with it, as a terrible knowing that bad things were beginning to happen. Another flash of lightning ripped the darkness apart, and black ooze began to pour out of the animatronics. The blackness dripped out downwards towards the ground, tearing up the ponies and exposing their metallic insides, as more continued to come out of the 6 ponies as the chariot continued onwards. "You wanted to know, Melanie," said the remains of Twilight as her face sunk into her head, twisting into a terrible grin before dropping off to the ground. "You wanted to see. You wanted to understand what we are. I hope you enjoy the ride."